Season 5 of Step by Step is brought to you by Route. Route provides solutions that give retailers control over the entire delivery experience, from package tracking and order protection to customer service and engagement tools that allows you to connect and convert your customers. Does it sound too good to be true? Well, it gets even better because Route is giving away $100 gift cards to merchants listening to this podcast. Stick around to the middle of our episode to find out how you can participate in this offer.
Hello and welcome to Step by Step, a podcast by Future Commerce presented by Routes. I'm Brian.
And I'm Philip, and this is Season 5 of Step by Step, and you're listening to Episode 5 of 5.
Yeah.
That's what we're at the end. Hey, don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. If you're right here at the end and this is the first episode you're listening to in this season, go back and start at the very beginning. It's the best way to experience Step by Step. These episodes build on each other, and we're coming right to the end of what I think is the most important season of Step by Step that we have ever done, which is we're answering the question, how can brands compete with Amazon? Or Brian, how do brands compete with the Amazon effect?
Yeah, I don't think they really need to compete with Amazon necessarily. I mean, unless your name is a Walmart or Target or, a few others out there potentially.
Keep
going. Exactly. Then you aren't really competing with Amazon. You're competing with the expectations of customers that use Amazon, because pretty much everyone in America does. They're all using Amazon. They're used to Prime. They're used to feeling confident and safe and secure and happy about
warm
the
and
purchases.
Fuzzy.
When they buy on Amazon, it just works.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, that experience is possible for your brand as well. Even if, and I don't want to throw any shade, but even if you literally sell dirt online, like our next guest, you can have an incredible Amazon-like experience. And there was something I learned in this particular episode, Brian, which is, and by the way, like, all props to Ryan Garrow, who's the owner of Joyful Dirt. He's going to talk a little bit about, and this is the thing I learned, he's going to talk about how being an Amazon seller and doing seller fulfilled Prime made him a better business operator and made his direct-to-consumer business better. Those two things actually went hand in hand for his business. And it's incredible, like, the accountability that Amazon puts on you as a seller to deliver at a high level actually makes all other experiences that you have off of Amazon better for your customer. It's just true.
The effect that Amazon has on you as a business is tangible. Yeah. And that's interesting and exciting, and I can't wait to hear more about this as we get into the episode.
Yeah. So this actual episode, the question we're going to answer is, why don't customers trust a 5-star review? And we're going to talk about the concept of validation and ratings and reviews, and the difference between product reviews and site reviews. And there's so much really to unpack here. I can't wait for you to hear it. Let's not wait any longer. That's your cue, Brian.
Welcome to Ryan Garrow, owner of Joyful Dirt, and Eric Smith, VP of Business Development and Partnerships at Shopper Approved.
We are back now for is this the 5th season, Brian?
5th season.
The 5th season of Step by Step, where we take you from zero to hero for all things that you need to know about a particular topic. This season, we are covering the topic of how to position your business to compete with the expectations that the customers have of you that, only Amazon can really deliver on, right? Question mark? Well, that's the answer that we're seeking to find here this season. And to do that, we are welcoming 2 guests here today from Shopper Approved. Welcome to the show, Eric Smith, who is the VP of Business Development and Partnerships. Welcome, Eric.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here, guys.
And glad to have you. And maybe we can get you to jam out on the guitar that's behind you that nobody can see at this moment here before the end of the show. Also, Ryan Garrow, the Director of Partnerships at Logical Position and owner of the brand Joyful Dirt. Say hello, Ryan.
Hi. Glad to be here.
Hey. Yeah, glad to have you. Brian, we're kind of diving into this topic, and this has been such a amazing series already. For just for our listeners' sake, Brian, what are some things we can expect to hear about here today?
Yeah, we're going to hear a really interesting take. Today, we're going to be really focusing in on the importance of validation and what that means regarding what Amazon has done and how it's become sort of the de facto place for people to get validation about what they're going to buy on the internet, or have they? And that's the question that we're going to be diving into today. So before we kind of get to validation specifically, I think it'd be really interesting to talk about just this idea of competing with Amazon or not competing with Amazon, and hear from each of you, Eric and Ryan, on your take of what that actually means right now in 2021. So Eric, why don't we start with you?
You'd be surprised how many merchants we work with that just don't think they can necessarily, I guess, quote unquote, compete with Amazon. When we talk about how can we compete with Amazon, I think we can all agree that there's just not a chance. You can do some really cool things in regards to pricing and shipping, but at the end of the day, it's always going to be a race to the bottom in regards to pricing. And at the end of the day, you're probably not going to have all the tools necessary to deliver someone's package within hours, right? And so, in my opinion, when we talk about kind of this idea of competing with Amazon, really what we're saying is, what are you doing to coexist in their world? Because we kind of just have to deal with it.
Ooh, and I'm sure we'll get into the mechanics of that, specifically about how you deliver on that at Shopper Approved, and how you're helping merchants of all kinds of sizes live up to that expectation. Ryan, tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience so far in this ecosystem, both at Logical Position and at Joyful Dirt, and how you're trying to live up to those customer expectations every day.
Yeah, I've been in the digital marketing game for about 12 years, which is pretty much dead in e-commerce years. That's ancient. There's not many people that have been around as long as we have. And through that time, I've seen a pretty crazy evolution with how merchants look at Amazon. Before, initially, it was like, ooh, exciting, great, that's another marketplace. And then it was like, oh my gosh, Amazon could crush me, and a lot of fear. And then I'm seeing a lot of companies understanding like there's some massive benefits and there's some things to be careful of. And I think it's also forcing a lot of businesses to reevaluate who they are and really who Amazon is. And so I look at Amazon as a retailer. They are, for my brands, they're not a partner. They are not a marketplace as much as they are a vessel to get my product into the world. And the more people to get my product, ideally they start wanting to deepen their relationship with me through that experience of my product, regardless of Amazon, and then seeing, okay, how do I connect deeper with this brand? And what can I do? And how can I protect myself as a brand on Amazon, but also leverage the power of that platform? Because it is, you can't deny Amazon's power. It's massive. And if you want to fight it, and there's some e-commerce people that want to slay the dragon or take down Amazon or fight it. I'm like, that's a battle that is probably more around at the Google, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook level, rather than I'm a brand trying to connect direct to consumer, and I don't want to take on Amazon. Like I've had a lot of other things I'd like to take on than Amazon. And so it's understanding it and really working to see how your brand is going to play in Amazon and off Amazon.
And so that off Amazon component, I think, is really interesting as well. I think it would be really interesting to hear your view on like how much of your business should be on Amazon versus off Amazon. and why you need to have an off Amazon strategy as much as you need an Amazon strategy, or not.
Well, can I also ask, while you're answering Brian's two-parted question, to add a third part?
Yes.
What is Joyful Dirt?
Yeah, got it.
Ooh, yes.
Okay, let's start there because that kind of helps formulate how I see Amazon. So Joyful Dirt is an organic fertilizer and plant food that we've created blends for multiple types of plants because every plant needs different nutrients. And we've accidentally done some things right, and then we've also failed our way to success in some other areas, Amazon being one of them. And so at Logical Position, we've been partnered with Google for 12 years, and Google has always known Amazon as a threat to their ad network and their ad revenue. And so it was always planted in my head that Amazon is scary. They just want to take all of the brand's business and for their own. And so that was just in the back of my head from all my time at Google and Microsoft. And then we saw this ad platform coming up on Amazon, a Logical Position, and we're one of their top partners now and really like it. But as we started getting into it, we're like, okay, we can't just fear it and we have to go in and understand it. So we're like, all right, fine. I'll be the guinea pig. We'll put Joyful Dirt on there. We'll start spending money and just see what's going on. And because I was starting off in a place of fear, I was like, okay, they're going to get one SKU and I'm going to keep other SKUs on the site and we're going to see what volume is there, because I really didn't think there was going to be a lot of, plant food volume on Amazon. I was wrong. Amazon has a massive amount of volume. And so we went from just starting off, our first month was in, I think March of 19 when we started off seller fulfilled, which is brutal as a small business. Like that is not fun. If you can go FBA, I was like, just go FBA. So we did. And I think we did 5,000 our first month on Amazon and FBA. We're like, wow, this is really good. We were just starting. And it's a side business for us, the three owners. And then 2020 hit and everybody wants a plant baby. And plants took off. Everybody wants to grow food, do all these things. Mm-hmm. And so we've exploded on Amazon and we've really grown with the market. But I think this month we'll do over 100,000 on Amazon. We spend a lot and I'm hyper aggressive because I look at Amazon again, kind of as a retailer where I don't own the customer. That's an Amazon customer. They're not going to give me the email address. Let me nurture them. They're going to try to do certain things. But at the end of the day, Amazon could care less if that customer buys my product again. And in fact, there may be other relationships they have with fertilizer that make them more money. So they're more incentivized to push that product to their customers, which is fine. Again, it's an Amazon customer. It's not mine. And I've never gone in with that viewpoint. I think that's where a lot of brands struggle and try to see like, they bought my product. That's my customer. Like, no, you can't go to Nordstrom and tell them to give you the customer data. Like that's a Nordstrom customer. And that's where I think it's an on Amazon strategy. You want to protect your pricing, which is why I personally I've seen pricing struggles on Vendor Central where you sell directly to Amazon and Amazon just needs to move product and they're like, at all costs, we may drop the price. Sorry. But we need to move inventory. And if your product isn't selling, we're dumping it. And so there is some risk there to a brand. So that's my on Amazon is control your brand, get a brand registered, make sure you have a trademark because there's cool ad sets available there. But then off Amazon is really where your brand's going to live. And because that's where you can create your identity. There's some limitations on a brand page on Amazon of what you can do or can't do. But again, that's where I keep some product back from Amazon. Could I sell a bunch more by having all my product on Amazon? Yes. But again, it's not my customer. And so finding opportunities to get them like, okay, for example, our succulent blend is not on Amazon. It's a really popular blend. A lot of people like it. It works phenomenally. But if we go to Amazon with it, it takes back one of our big SKUs that is really moving the market off-site. And then we're working on loyalty right now to see how we get people to buy from Amazon or a retailer to come to our site and register that product. And for me, I told the loyalty company because they were worried, well, how are you going to get them to prove that they bought it? I was like, I don't care. Have them upload a picture of their dog. Like, all I want is an email. Like, I want to be able to nurture this customer. Like, yeah, it doesn't matter to me. I'll just give them the points. But every brand's going to be a little bit different as far as you're on and off Amazon, also depending on what kind of products you have and can you do FBA effectively depending on the size of your product and the volume that you're churning.
it's really interesting. Your off Amazon strategy is something that I want to hone in on for a second here, because Amazon, people that are purchasing on Amazon expect a certain experience on Amazon. And it's really come to set expectations, and we call this the Amazon effect, and it's been talked about quite a bit. But what I think is really interesting is, in the past, it's been almost impossible to keep up with the Amazon effect. And now we're starting to see opportunity, tool set, and reason to say, oh, actually, providing the experience that's at a quality level that potentially Amazon is providing to their customers, that's something that's potentially within our grasp because of the ecosystem that's out there. And so, as you've seen this effect, how have customers coming from the Amazon channel, or actually really all of customers in America, in the US, like, they all, coming over, have some expectations about how purchasing is going to work. How have you seen this sort of change your customers' mindset, if at all, or how are you getting around this, or how are you addressing this?
So, number one, I recommend every company has to find a way for free shipping. Like, just out of principle, I hate paying for shipping. Like, I know it's a cost. I'm a business owner. If I see it, I'm just like nails on a chalkboard. I'm like, God, I'm going to immediately go to Amazon and try to see if I can get free shipping because I'm Prime. Because I'm just hate paying for shipping. And even in the digital marketing world, we've seen still to date, after doing this for 12 years, free shipping is still one of the best call outs in ad text. Still. And you're like, I can't believe this is still a good call out, but it is. And so finding a way for that free shipping, finding a way for a very simple checkout. Amazon has more data than any e-commerce company on the planet, period. And they have refined their checkout process to the nth degree. Most of the time, I tell companies, don't look at what your competitors are doing. They're probably dumb. They don't know why they made that decision. But when you look at Amazon, we know they have a lot of data science behind it. And so I at least say, test some of the things you see there. But I personally like saying, all right, I'm going to go with a SaaS platform e-commerce site because I don't want to worry about my site going down, and I want it simple. So I like Shopify and BigCommerce. Magento can be great, but you can do everything. But it also is difficult because you can do everything. Like, in my world, keep it simple. There are certain brands that need Magento, and that's great. But keep it simple. And then you want, that's one of the reasons Shopper Approved is used, because the volume of reviews, like that social proof that comes innate on Amazon. Shopper Approved does it. I mean, and I've, again, been in this a long time. I've researched every possible review company out there. And there's a reason I like Shopper Approved. The sheer volume of reviews they can capture help. Because, I mean, I've got 3,000 reviews on one of my SKUs on Amazon within a year and a half, which is great, but that's just because of Amazon volume. And I haven't captured that on my site yet. So now I can build it up and get those review stars on my digital marketing, which increases my click-through rate, which increases my traffic, which then, everything goes up. But if you're not completing that circle and touching every point there on your brand off of Amazon, even one spoke of that wheel missing could cause pretty big issues within the space.
I think that's a very natural transition for us to talk about. There's this really, there's a challenge around discovery in that Amazon has sort of a built-in discovery engine, but we all understand the importance of having an owned channel, right? Where you have that first-party relationship with the customer. So there's a bunch of things you have to do extraordinarily well, reviews and validation being one of those. Eric, just give us a sense of, what does that look like for a brand just starting out, and what's the goal for a brand who's building that owned channel, say on their own e-commerce? What can they do, and how can Shopper Approved help them get to a sort of a critical mass of validation? Because I think that's what they're all looking for when they come to a site, making sure that the purchase that they make is going to get to them, and that they're going to be pleased with the purchase after it arrives.
Well, it's a really good question. And the space that Shopper Approved lives in is that SMB kind of low mid-market. And so the majority of businesses that we're working with and that I'm talking to directly are businesses that are coming to us saying, okay, I have 15 to 25 competitors in my space that are selling something similar. And I've heard that through ratings and reviews, I can get some of that traffic my way. But how is that possible? And I think what we all have to remember is the power of perceived popularity. Like, that is such a real thing. And if we look at kind of just keeping focus here a little bit in this idea of living in Amazon's world, if about 50%, right, of online shoppers start their shopping on Amazon, that means that there's another 50% that aren't starting their shopping on Amazon. That's a pretty big chunk of online shoppers still, right? Yeah. So where are they starting their shopping? Well, it's probably social media channels. It's probably Google, including even YouTube, right? And so there's still a big opportunity for online shoppers to stand out in a space outside of Amazon. But even if the 50% that starts on Amazon, there's a good chance that it's someone at their kid's soccer game, they're shopping on Amazon, but they're like, just while they're, watching their kid kick around a ball, they're like, well, I'm going to check out other prices somewhere else. So there's a good chance that where those 50% of shoppers start on Amazon, they don't end up on Amazon, right? So what I would say to an SMB or to a mid-market company that's just wondering, like, what can I do to increase that perceived popularity? It would be, first, you've got to be thinking about what separates your brand from everyone else, right? Because if I'm Joyful Dirt, right? If I'm Ryan, I want to know at the end of the day, if there's going to be 10 other types of Joyful Dirts out there, what's going to separate me from everyone else? And oftentimes that comes down to leveraging your brand. And people nowadays, online shoppers, all of us probably on this podcast included, like, we are shopping daily on online, Amazon and off Amazon. And sometimes we're not even sure what brand we're making this purchase on, like what store. We just know they have good shipping, they have a good price, their products seem popular, and we're just going to make our purchase, right? And so what we're seeing is brand loyalty is almost at a low right now in e-commerce, just because everyone's shopping online. Everyone wants the good shipping. Everyone wants the good prices. Everyone wants a quality product. And a lot of that can come down to, as a brand, are you showing your audience that you're worth dealing with? Have you built up a line of trust? Do you have people that are raving about, how you solved a problem when they had a problem, right? Or are people raving about, how you were able to get them a coupon code that maybe they were promised, they didn't, they couldn't use it, but you're able to kind of make it work for them. These types of things come down to the customer experience that people experience with that specific brand. And that's something that Amazon just can't give you, right? So if you're a small SMB or a low mid market, you've got to be thinking to yourself, how are you giving your shoppers an experience that Amazon can't provide, and still live in Amazon's world? And then when it comes to, not just your brand and leveraging your brand, it's got to come down to what are you doing from a product standpoint? And that's a whole other world and beast, right? Because so many people are searching products versus brands. And so going back to this idea of, 50% or more of online shoppers are starting their shopping maybe outside of Amazon. If they go to Google, if they go to social media, and they're looking for a product, what's the story that the world is telling the audience? Are they seeing stars in your ads to show your reviews for those products? Are they seeing product stars in organic search listings? And all of that draws awareness and attention, again, perceived popularity, right? To drive people to your store. And now that once they're on your store, they can start to see that social proof in action. It's once you start to really connect the dots, it's exciting to see these small business owners know that they can stand a chance and go toe to toe with some big players out there because of the power of that kind of popularity that comes with ratings and reviews.
That's and you own that experience, right? So it's you thinking about the effort and the improvement that you put in on sort of a daily basis, something that we have definitely heard a lot about on this show over the years. Ryan, to your point, is sort of like taking good advice from your partners to be able to build out an experiential channel that doesn't have others competing for the same customer. Like you've already got them on the site. You've already done the hard work to bring them to your site. Now you really just have to provide the value of closing the deal by removing objections. And other things we've talked about on this series is, well, how do you provide the promise of hassle-free returns? How do you provide the promise of excellent proactive service and self-guided shopping and decision making? Those are all things that I think help close the deal, but those are all insular and sort of first-person perspective decision making about like, well, do I really want to buy this product? This is the thing that we're talking about here. Validation, reviews is social proof. It's the only thing wherein someone else's voice can support the decision making process. And I think that's what makes this such a critical portion to building out any modern direct to consumer channel. Is this is your only opportunity to have other people's voices come alongside and validate the things that you're saying, the claims that you're making about your brand.
Well, and you're absolutely
so it's worth,
right.
Not only is it worth the investment, but it's something that I think is often underinvested in.
Mm-hmm. Right. And actually, just to kind of piggyback on that. So kind of two things, right? When Ryan is saying like the amount of reviews matter, that is 100% true. Because if you take the story that Amazon is telling an Amazon shopper, you're going to look at a product, you're going to see these awesome product descriptions, you're going to see reviews, you're going to see the whole Amazon choice and all of that, right? And that's great for those that are shopping on Amazon. But how do you provide a similar experience off Amazon? And so for a company like a Joyful Dirt or any other small or medium-sized business, that volume of reviews, which is something that Shopper Approved has been doing the best at for the last more than a decade now, is when we display those reviews in search, on social media, on your website, we're not just saying, hey, we have some social proof, check this out. We're saying we have the most social proof that you can get for your brand and for what you're doing. And like, you should be one that people need to pay attention to. And it's because of that sheer volume. And really what you're talking about, Brian, like in our world, the world that I live in, and again, going back to this Amazon effect, right, that you bring up, is nowadays customers demand, and it's just how it is, right? Customers are demanding that as many friction points as possible be removed from that buying experience, right? And one of those friction points, especially for an SMB or mid-market company, is the social proof aspect of it, right? Like, it's one thing to read product descriptions. It's another thing to see a review from a verified buyer that said, this is why I love this product, or this is why I love this brand, or this is why I didn't love this brand or didn't love this product, but this is what the business did to help me, or this is what the business did to like take care of my concern and make sure that I was a happy customer. All of that plays into the story of social proof, right? And so if we're looking at, for all of you business owners out there that are listening to this and going like, well, how can I gain the trust of my shoppers? How do I give a good experience? How do I get people to come to me and not go everywhere else? It's got to be that social proof, and let your customers tell that story for you. And that's going to remove more friction points than you could even possibly imagine.
Yeah, I think if we also look at product discovery, which is a key component of your reviews, like Joyful Dirt's a good example because I have like 5 SKUs. And so I don't have the product selection of an Amazon. And so people are discovering my product on Google where there's a vast selection. And so that social proof, or those review stars, get traffic to my site from Google's version of Amazon. So I kind of see Google Shopping as the same thing as Amazon, even though you buy on the site. Like, that social proof comes from seeing the stars on Google. And so if you're not using like an approved aggregator where those stars from your site are going to Google, you're not actually getting as much of the value, because once they're to your site, they've already chosen your product from shopping. So there's a degree of trust, and then getting there, it's like, yeah, that's nice. But if you don't have the reviews on Google, it's going to be difficult to get that traffic in the sea of options, especially if you're competing against a big brand. And so there's all the SMBs or companies outside of that. Like, I compete with Scott's Miracle-Gro, a lot of great products, but they also, have a market cap valuation of like $12 billion. I'm like, okay, well, I have to compete head to head to that, and I have to take every possible advantage I can to try to do that. And I think I'm a better marketer, so that has helped me. But without other pieces of the pie coming together, there's no way to compete against something of that magnitude. And most small businesses are competing against somebody much bigger than them.
Hey everybody, Philip breaking in here just to tell you a little bit about this episode's sponsor. I'm talking about Route. If you haven't heard about Route, I think it's going to change the way that you deliver packages and experiences to your customers. Let me break it down for you. Route is the premier post-purchase experience platform for you, an online retailer. What does that mean? Well, from the second that a customer checks out on your store to the moment that they receive the package that they bought from you, that process can be wrought with all kinds of problems. Missing packages, broken items, slow deliveries, and let's face it, carriers don't communicate the way that we all wish that they would. There's a list of pitfalls for customer experience that is virtually endless, and Route provides solutions that give retailers control over that whole delivery experience. Customers will be able to actually use a tool to see where their package is in transit. You'll get order protection that gives your customers confidence and saves you money on your bottom line to keep from having to reship products that just didn't arrive or are lost in transit. You'll have customer service automation that allows you to save both time and money by being proactive in the way that you manage the experience of the post-purchase process. And finally, you're going to have engagement tools that allow you to connect and convert your customers over and over again. Route is only 2 years old, but they're already trusted by over 8,000 retailers all over the world. And the best part, it's completely free. FREE, free as in beer. Is it too good to be true? Kind of. Well, Route is giving away $100 gift cards to merchants that are listening to this podcast episode right now if you just book a demo. That's all you got to do. So go ahead. What are you waiting for? Go over to go.route.com/futurecommerce and tell them Philip sent you. Get that $100 gift card. That's go.route.com/futurecommerce and get your demo today. What are you waiting for? You're going to take your customer experience post-purchase process to the next level. That's go.route.com/futurecommerce and get that $100. Put it in your pocket and tell them that you heard about it on Step by Step Season 5. Let's get back into the show.
We talked about Amazon and sort of validation. I think one of the struggles that people have come up against with Amazon and also with Google shopping is just the sheer volume of products out there it's grown significantly. And so and a lot of brands that you haven't heard of before. And, oftentimes you see, consumers are looking for something other than just the standard big cap companies products. They want to do something that's more sustainable, that's, supporting a small business, that's going to potentially be a lot better than the large players' products. But it's really hard to cut through the noise because there's also a lot of really, bad products out there too. And so being able to have those reviews sort of helps differentiate you, and especially because now I feel like we used to go off site, off of an owned experience to Amazon to go look up product reviews. Now I feel like we're on Amazon. It's hard to kind of cut through the noise of Amazon reviews and of Amazon products. We're going off Amazon to go research a company and find out if we feel like it's legit or not. Because Amazon has struggled to sort of provide us with that tool set that we need to determine if it's something that we do want to buy. There's too much noise. And so I find myself now, researching products outside of Amazon to make sure that I feel comfortable buying them before I actually buy them on Amazon, which may lead me to make a purchase directly on the owned channel, especially if there's validation on that channel. If it provides me with an experience that feels like they're investing in it, it feels like their customers are engaged. It feels like there's validation that this is a comfortable a place to purchase. It's safe. It's going to be a good experience all the way through. And I actually do even go read those reviews. And so the volume is good. The specificity is also really good. And I think, Eric, to your point, overcoming those, how a brand responded to things is a really big part of that as well. Sorry, I've been rambling on now, but I think
that was a soliloquy of like his passion for online research. I'm the opposite. I am an impulse shopper. I'm just like, God, buy, dang. Oh shoot! Did I just make a mistake? Let me go read the reviews. I'm a completely different shopper, Brian Lang.
Getting into the Amazon ecosystem more and more, you start realizing how easy it is to get fake reviews on Amazon. Mm-hmm. That's why people are getting fake stuff from China that are automatically being reviewed for them. You're like, I don't even know what this is. There's actually Facebook and Reddit groups about getting product for reviews, and Amazon still hasn't been able to crack down on these things. Mm-hmm. But that's where I like buying from the brand. Like if you can see on Amazon, if it's a brand, great. Yes. I can go to the brand page and see it, but then I can also say, wonder what else they have. Oh, I can go to the brand website and like, we'll have people that in their shopper approved reviews actually tell me that, hey, I started buying you on Amazon, but I wanted to buy direct from the brand and started buying for my site. And so there's so much opportunity to leverage Amazon for growing a brand, even when it's your offsite stuff long term. I do think that Amazon has forced a lot of small businesses to start taking the long-term approach. Because you've mentioned, I think, Philip, about the easy returns and how much of a pain that is to do that as a small business a lot of times. Like if you're selling shoes, you have to compete with Zappos, which is owned by Amazon. If you're trying to, Zappos lost money, they probably still lose money because they're buying market share. So you as a small business have to understand that you might not be making money on that order now, but by providing the seamless returns and all these other things that Zappos and Amazon have put in the back of our heads, you are now forced to play the long game. You can't be in a short-term business like I'm going to juice profits in a month and now start and never pay attention to what's going to happen in a year. Like it just doesn't exist now, thanks to Amazon, I think.
You brought up a really interesting point, which was there's a sense of distrust of reviews on both sides of the shopper experience. The first being, can I trust that the positive reviews are real when shopping, at a large online marketplace, wherein that can, we may distrust that by the nature of, we know as consumers that those reviews could be farmed. But then there's the other side of it, which is overly positive, glowing reviews that never show any sort of problem resolution also can be sort of distrusted, right? There's a balance there. Like, how do you strike a balance? I don't know how many brands are going out in search of confidently displaying that they have a 4.2 as opposed to a 5, and that, almost 20% of their transactions aren't, 5-star transactions. Like, how do you balance that as a brand? And what's some good advice for you to show that validation of these are legitimate reviews, you can trust them, and when things go wrong, we'll make it right? I guess that's for Eric.
It's actually a really, really good question. I'm glad we're talking about this, Philip, because all too often we talk to businesses that say, well, why do I really need shopper approved? I'm just going to find some rinky-dink ratings and reviews solution that's $10 a month, and social proof is social proof, right? And honestly, I feel for business owners because there's just a lot of information out there. There's a lot of tools. I mean, if you go to the Shopify, marketplace right now, you can find 15 different apps that essentially do the same thing under various categories. And it's just overwhelming for business owners to know like what decision is the right decision to make for their business. So I would highly, highly stress and recommend that if you're a business owner and you're wondering like, well, are reviews all created equally, to do a little bit of homework. And that's where a Google approved ratings and reviews platform comes in. And that's exactly who we are at Shopper Approved. And we've had that relationship with Google now for about a decade. And there's only about a little more than 20 Google approved ratings and review platforms in the entire world. And there's only about 5 or 6 that are located here in the United States. And so again, as a small business owner or online business owner, you probably don't have all of that knowledge, and we wouldn't expect you to, right? This is just one piece of your website, one aspect of your tech stack, right? There's just a lot to it. And so to answer your question, Philip, in regards to this idea of like, how do you combat kind of this feeling that shoppers are getting nowadays, where can I trust these reviews and whatnot? This is where the power of kind of what we call it as review triangulation comes into play. And what I mean by that is if you go to a website and you see they have really good stellar reviews about their brand and their products, but they only really see those on their website, right? And then you go into Google and you start to do a little bit more digging and searching about that brand and products. Now you're starting to see maybe some not so positive reviews on other review platforms, or you're starting to see maybe like some other places where people have voiced their opinion and you're like, what's going on here, right? So what we mean by review triangulation basically is when you look across the web, across social media, across someone's website, is the story, right? Going back to this like kind of journey of the customer and their thinking behind this idea of social proof and leaning toward your brand and your products. Are they feeling comfortable and trusted at any point during their journey and searching for the right product and brand to buy with, that they can trust you? And I can tell you right now that if you go with a non-Google approved ratings and review platform, you're going to have some struggles where you're probably going to be tempted in that platform to maybe solicit the reviews in kind of a non-Google approved way, incentivizing in the wrong way, or buying your reviews or whitewashing reviews, or we call it review gating, where maybe a not so, positive review comes through and you're like, well, I definitely want to reach out to the customer to try to fix it, but I'm not going to make that review public, right? And that's where when you go with a Google approved ratings review platform like Shopper Approved, we have to live within certain, we'll just call them kind of the rules of Google in regards to this, collecting and sharing of the social proof, because otherwise, we just wouldn't have that status with Google. And we do that because it's best for the customer. At the end of the day, Google always wants to do what's best for the consumer. And if that means that consumers need to see the good, bad, and the ugly, then you better believe that we at Shopper Approved are going to collect 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-star reviews, and those are going to be public. However, we do give you tools that you can use to resolve concerns. And those are some proprietary tools that we have the way to do that and the approval from Google to do that, so that you can reach out to the customer, fix the issue, and then how you fix it, all of that dialogue and how you kind of overcame that and mitigated that concern is then displayed publicly for your audience to see. And that's massive because that's all part of that social proof story.
Well, isn't it weird that the best review number or value is like a 4.4 or 4.5 for trust? Like if you're a 5 out of 5, people don't trust it.
They don't trust it.
No. But as a business owner, you're like, ugh, I am a 5-star business. But you're like, you don't want to be actually on Google or your review stars, which is just kind of painful for me.
There's different kinds of reviews too. And I know we didn't really like cover this but I thought maybe we could just touch on it real quick. That I think some people, especially if you're a business owner, you're like really thinking about, okay, well, product reviews are super important because people buy products. But if you're a consumer, you probably are also thinking about, well, can I trust the brand overall? Or how do I trust the site? Is the site safe, or is the brand safe, or are they well known and respected? So there's like this concept of like a difference between a site review, which I know some review platforms really index toward, and then there's product-based reviews. I'm curious if there's something there, Eric, to sort of like differentiate what you see as like the value prop of Shopper Approved, and how, what your perspective is on, what consumers are looking for in reviews.
Yeah, so this is a really good topic to discuss as well, because you're right on the money. What we saw last year alone was more attraction towards the seller reviews. And that was because brands nowadays, again, if we're talking about this idea of validation and kind of living in Amazon's world and competing with Amazon, leveraging your brand, as Ryan talked about also, is going to be key moving forward. Brand leveraging, brand loyalty. And so we at Shopper Approved, we stress more than anything, what are you doing to show the world that your brand is worth trusting? So you're absolutely right. When we talk about, we call them seller reviews or merchant reviews, site reviews, those are all kind of synonymous, right? But they're just overall brand reviews. And that brand review, I mean, think about it. If you go into a Best Buy or a local brick and mortar store, you pretty much know by the time you leave what kind of star rating you would have given that brick and mortar store, right? You're going to say, I could find what I was looking for. I was helped. My questions were answered. All of those things. E-com, it's a different story, right? Like people can come to your site and bounce within seconds because they feel like they're not gonna be able to find what they're looking for within seconds, right? And so if we're talking about this idea of brand reviews, right? It's the experience from the start to the finish. And whether that finish meant they bounce from your homepage or they actually made a purchase, that's that brand experience, right? So when we talk about ratings and reviews, and really we're talking about a bigger thing here, right? It's not just ratings and reviews, it's the experience of the shopper. And truly that social proof has so many layers to it. We have reviews that go into social proof. We have images, we have video that customers can upload. We also have like Q&A. Right? Look at like when you go to a website, are your questions being answered? Right? That's a huge thing nowadays. Like people want to have their problem solved and solved quickly. And Q&A is just another element of that social proof. And so that would be like, again, all of that is about the brand experience, which Shopper Approved definitely leans towards. Very first thing we're talking to a brand is, what are you doing in these areas? We can help you. And then in regards, and not to make this like a sales pitch by any means, it's just overall brand reviews. It's kind of like that's laying the foundation. And then product reviews. Like you're not going to buy a product necessarily if you go to someone's site and see that their brand is like a 1.6 overall. They're crummy when it comes to shipping. They don't hold true to their promises. Their return policies are awful. So it has to start with the brand level and then build from there. And that's where we start to talk about things like product reviews and video reviews. And yeah.
Can I point a question over to you there, Ryan, on do you think, and this just came to me, so I would love for you to tell me I'm wrong. But do you think that the sort of level of expectation placed on you just to stay relevant on Amazon, right? Think about like you were talking about doing seller fulfilled Prime. I think that's what you said, right? And sort of the rigor around what it takes to be able to deliver at that level. Do you think that actually overall, like net makes you a better business to deliver for, like makes the experience for your customers that aren't buying on Amazon a better experience overall too? Like, do those two kind of go hand in hand, that without the rigor of having to like live up to Amazon standards as a brand, that you probably wouldn't have done some things or operationalized some things that at the end of the day actually makes you better at direct to consumer as well?
I think so, because Amazon has such a massive influence on how, especially we as Americans, and I don't live abroad, so I'm going to focus on what I know. But Americans are now, we've always been a couple things, lazy, and we want it now. and Amazon has been able to really bring those two things together for the best that we have seen in our history. And so as a brand, you have to go into your relationship with the consumer knowing those two things. But there is a little bit of grace, I think, at least that I've seen with our consumer outside of Amazon. Like, they don't expect me to get them the product tomorrow, thankfully. But I do realize, like, I was actually mad yesterday when I was trying to get some product from Amazon for a project we're doing, and I couldn't get it today. I'm like, God, what is going on? I pay for Prime. I should get it tomorrow. Like, it was going to come in 2 days. Poor me. But there are, as the brand direct to consumer on your own channels, it is a problem that you have because you don't have the last mile responsibility. You've given that to FedEx, UPS, USPS, and Amazon owns it, and they can really fulfill that promise on their terms. And if it's not being delivered, they're communicating with you like, hey, it was supposed to come today. It's not. Or, hey, it's 3 stops away. And I'm like, this is like Christmas. I totally forgot what I ordered yesterday or the day before. Yeah, I still believe, I can't imagine that I ever got to this place where I don't remember what I clicked on a day or two ago, or what I had to have yesterday during happy hour. But that last mile connectivity, you as a brand, while you don't own it, you get reviewed on it. Like USPS, their delivery was absolute garbage during the holiday season. Rightly so. They were way overwhelmed. We were still in lockdown as a country. Stuff was late. It was horrible. people have already reviewed USPS. You can go see their reviews. I think they need shopper approved because there's no postal service in the United States that has good reviews. But they also yell at the brand because their order didn't get delivered. I was like, I shipped it. I did it the day you ordered it. But because FedEx or UPS or USPS didn't get it, I'm going to get a bad review. And so it's shopper approved and logical position. We've been partnering with a company called Route, which does help with some of that last mile experience and helping people see that visual tracking and get updates and stuff. And it's insured, which I like. We've used them quite extensively, where it's, hey, it didn't arrive or got stolen. It's covered. Have fun. Take care of it. And that really has helped some of my brands and some of that experience and understanding how I can more closely align with the expectations in the consumer that Amazon has set, which I think are good. Like I don't resent them for doing it. Yeah. But it's just, it challenges me as a business owner to be better, which I probably wouldn't have if it hadn't been for Amazon.
What I think I hear you saying is that all the way through the whole cycle, you're sort of validating to the customer that this is an experience that they should trust and like, while maybe it's not quite as good as Amazon is, it's an experience they can rely on and count on and that feels good throughout the whole process. You're authenticating up front with brand reviews. You're giving them an experience on the site that makes them feel comfortable with the purchase. You're giving them reviews at the product level to show them that this is something that people enjoy when they buy it. You're giving them a smooth checkout experience. You're offering them suggestions about what types of products they should buy. You're providing a branded experience throughout. You're giving them a last mile experience that's incredible through Route, who sponsored this whole step-by-step season 5. When they get done with the purchase process, they're like, oh wow, like I would definitely do that again. That's where you're landing at the end of this. It's getting them to that point where they could make a purchase and then finishing it through all the way to the end where they're like, yeah, I don't have to go to Amazon to buy this. I can buy this from the brand and I feel comfortable with that.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's cool as a brand to think of ways where you can actually be better than Amazon. And that's not an easy thing to do, but I was failing miserably on our packaging because I just used a poly mailer, which I was like, that's what people ship it. It's easy. Amazon comes in a little paper bag. Who cares? And I had one lady review me through Shopper Approved. It's like, yeah, my order was great, but it arrived in a garbage bag. And I was like, what? It's a poly mailer. And so our head of marketing was like, well, we should probably level up our packaging on our mailer. And so now we have a poly mailer that has like plant leaves all over it. And it's turned us from just an arrival to like, holy smokes, this thing came into my mailbox. It is like this plant thing. And like it really exploded on social media one day where people were like, hey, look at this new package that arrived. And so we were able to really level up from what Amazon was doing by challenging ourselves, like, okay, owning this experience direct to consumer all the way through. We have a better packaging that's cooler and more exciting when it arrives. Just simple things like that normal, driving traffic marketing, Ryan, wouldn't have even thought about. But because we got a review and we had to respond to it, I was like, oh, that's actually a good point. Something I hadn't considered as a business owner.
There's such a benefit to, and I don't want to take us off base because I know that we're coming right up on time. This has been so educational for me. And I really appreciate both of your just sharing everything that you know and really just helping people make better decisions around the way that they invest in their e-commerce. But for me, when I think about the promise of shopping on Amazon is really just like quick, efficient, spear phishing. Let me just get the thing I'm looking for. Don't bother me. But there's something that I crave as a consumer that is the step up from that, which is help me use this better. Help me make my life better. Help me figure out how I can make this part of like something bigger than just the consumption of a product. And in everything from like camera gear to fertilizer, it's like there are so many opportunities for you to be able to help the consumer get more out of what they're making a purchase on and help them make that, not just get the most out of it, but enjoy it for on a new level, which only happens post-purchase. And it only happens if you have a direct relationship with the customer. And it only happens that they will have a greater understanding of what is possible through the purchase of this product and the promise of your brand if you have that relationship. And so it is our job as marketers, and it's our job in the operation of brands to remove the objections so that we can actually help deliver on that promise for the customer. And that's where I think that this concept of validation is just so unbelievably important. Ryan, I'll give you the last word. I didn't prep you for it either. I just dropped it like a bomb.
No. I challenge customers to start looking at brands, to start looking at your channels it kind of as a cohesive like schematic as you look at that. And it's all about customer acquisition. And Philip, it's totally for another podcast, but first party data and all the changes in marketing is going to come down like just a giant piano on the top of most business owners' heads. But you have to have more customers and more first party data if you're going to succeed in our new environment of marketing. And so be way more aggressive than you currently are. Almost every business owner I talk to, I have to tell them, go get more customers, whether that's on Amazon, whether that's on Google, whether that's on Instagram. You need customers. So it can make you uncomfortable, and it should make you a little bit uncomfortable when you're getting customers. But then as you delight them and own that experience, they're going to come back and you're going to smoke some competitors in our new digital world. It's going to be fun.
I love that. If I had the option to title this particular episode "Smoke Some Competitors," I would absolutely do that. I don't think I have that sort of leeway.
We could do another one. Let's talk about smoking competitors.
Although I think that's what everybody really actually wants to hear. Been brilliant to have you two on. Thank you so much, Ryan. Thank you, Eric. Shoot, we should do this again. You guys are the best. And thank you so much to Route for making this season of Step by Step possible. Hope you learned a lot. I did. I learned a lot today, and we're going to keep learning together on this journey as we take you from zero to hero, step by step. Hey, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Season 5 of Step by Step. And it was brought to you by the fine folks at Route and all of their partners who actually made this possible. And just remember, Route is the premier post-purchase experience platform. And that means that anything that you need, from the click of the checkout button all the way to the package arriving safely inside the home, Route can have you covered. That's live package tracking updates, that's order protection, that covers things from missing packages and broken items and poor carrier communication, and customer service automation. All of those things save you time and money, but it puts money back into your pockets because customers are going to come back and purchase again. You should check out Route. I'm a big fan, and 8,000 other retailers all over the world are too. It's completely free for you. And even better, it could put money in your pocket today if you take a $100 gift card when you sit down and take a demo. And that's all you got to do. You can go get that demo. Go get it right now at go.route.com/futurecommerce. Go get the demo today at go.route.com/futurecommerce. Other episodes can be found at futurecommerce.fm. Drop us a line and email us. Tell us what you think at hello@futurecommerce.fm, and subscribe to our insiders and the Senses newsletter that come out every Tuesday and every Friday. You can get that at futurecommerce.fm/subscribe. Thank you so much for listening to Step by Step.